Big news yesterday's show. The Nets announced that James Harden has suffered a setback in his hamstring rehab. Head coach Steve Nash described it as, quote, back to square one. Harden has not played since April 5th. So that's a few weeks ago. He suffered the injury against the Knicks. So certainly concerning news with the playoffs about a month away, but the Nets are still odds-on favorite to win the Eastern Conference, minus 115. They're also the championship favorites overall to win the title. More than the Lakers, more than the Clippers. They're plus 230 or plus 225. They're just a half game behind the Sixers for the 1 seed. So there's a chance they don't get the 1 seed and thus have to go through Milwaukee in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. And here they are, an odds-on favorite to come out of the East.
I find it ridiculous. I really do. I can see why, but there are obvious reasons why you wouldn't want to play this price. Health is clearly a concern. They've missed a ton of games. Continuity is obviously a concern. The Philadelphia 76ers are a concern. Defense is the issue I've been harping on from the beginning. Defense is the issue I will continue to harp on. Brooklyn ranks 25th in the NBA in defensive rating. If you go back over the last 20 years and you look at the 40 teams that have won their conference, 20 in the Eastern Conference, 20 in the Western Conference, 36 of them ranked in the top 12 in defensive rating. That's 90%. 22 of the 40 teams ranked in the top 5. That's over 50%. Brooklyn can score, but we haven't seen these guys together. Health's a concern. Competition's a concern. Defense is a huge concern. At that price, pass.
The good news is Steve Nash said Kevin Durant could return this weekend, Friday or Sunday. So that's obviously a silver lining. But yeah, to your point, they've only played 7 games together, the big 3. That's it. Not even some of the role players. Continuity, we talked to Kendrick Perkins about that. They're going to be challenged a lot. Their mental toughness will be challenged. They're going to have a giant bullseye on their back throughout these playoffs as the hunted. And these guys are obviously just so gifted offensively. But there's no guarantee they're going to stay healthy, even if they are healthy when the playoffs arrive. We all know the playoffs are a different animal. They're going to be playing every other night, so we're not going to have back-to-backs. But it's going to be a lot of banging, a lot of physical play in these playoffs. And frankly, Kyrie and Kevin Durant, their track record has been injury-prone at times. Now, we're not rooting for injuries, but just to be fair, you're saying less than 50% at minus 115 to come out of the East. And if they don't get the 1 seed, they have to play Milwaukee in the second round. They may even have to go through Miami in the first round.
No one's going to want to deal with Miami.
And we know how the Heat can flip the switch. They obviously demonstrated that last year once they get healthy. And obviously their record with Butler in the lineup is so much better than without. It's a tough road to hoe, and they still have not figured out an answer for Embiid. So if the Sixers are healthy, this is a classic situation. The sportsbooks just sort of managing their risk. They have influx of money on the Nets. They just are keeping them low because it's a one-way betting market. So I think they're inviting money on the Bucks and Sixers.
I think the assumption here is that you're going to need all 3 of the big 3 in order to win the title, right? All 3 have shown issues with whether or not they can stay on the court. Durant has an injury history that goes back a few years. Harden is now battling a muscle injury, which may be nagging through the rest of the season. Kyrie Irving can't be counted on to show up every night. He's got a lot of stuff going on, which is understandable, but you're going to need those 3 night in and night out for what, 2.5, 3 months to win a title at that price?
I think it's more than just to win a title. I think it's to get out of the first and second round, let alone Eastern Conference Finals. Not that Philly is any guarantee to get there as well.
Of course.
Yeah. Let's bring in Tyler back here. Tyler, what about it? Is your confidence in level with us here? Your lack of confidence, I should say?
Yeah. The Brooklyn Nets, for me, when I kind of project to the future what they can do in this postseason, I'm not worried about chemistry. The chemistry does not concern me. What concerns me is their ability to get stops. This is not a good defensive team. Even when Kevin Durant and James Harden are back, they have maybe one good defensive player in Nick Claxton, who might not even be their starting center in the postseason. They may give DeAndre Jordan the job because of his experience. So when I look at them matching up against Philadelphia, a team that is number 2 in the NBA in defensive rating, or I look at them matching up with the Miami Heat at 12-1 to come out of the Eastern Conference, what they did a season ago, with their ability to lock down. They're 7th in the NBA in defensive rating, and the only reason that's not higher is because for the first month of the season, they were like 22nd due to all the injuries and COVID situation. So when you have Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Ariza, and Iguodala on the perimeter that are veterans, when you have Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, Joel Embiid, they can get stops, I think, even against an offense that will be as talented as Brooklyn. My concern is Brooklyn is going to need to flip some kind of defensive switch we have not seen yet during this regular season to compete with those great defensive teams. And Milwaukee's also better than Brooklyn is defensively. So that's my concern with them. There's no value on betting them right now because of what you were discussing for Doug. And then just matchup-wise, My concern is them getting stops in the postseason when those matter so much more than they do in the regular season.
And let's also remind everyone that it's Steve Nash as a rookie head coach.
Yeah.
He learned the hard way, not fouling up 3 early in the season. Changed. Last night he did against the Pelicans, maybe even a little too early.
Yeah.
Survived because Zion almost had a shot off to tie the game. So maybe there might be some kinks he has to work out as well, though he has a veteran staff for sure.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.